This is Dick Mullally. It's October 29, 1977. I'm in South Haven and interviewing Mary Quartermus, who is Connie's grandmother. She is 87 years old at this point. Well, Grandma, do you think you can answer some questions for us today?
Well, I'll try.
Okay. Let's start right at the beginning. Where were you born and when was it?
At Sodus, Michigan, October 27th, 1900.
1890?
Oh, 1890.
You're trying to be 10 years younger.
What did he say? Well, how did I have to say that? I was thinking about the time I was married, I guess.
About where would Sodus be?
Well, it's over near Benton Harbor.
Can you tell us about your parents and the families that they came from?
Well, my husband's parents were both born in England, and they married here in America. So my husband, of course, and the family was all born here.
How about your father?
My father was born in Hartford, Michigan.
And what were his parents like? Did you ever meet his parents?
Oh yes, his father was in the Civil War, and he was a prisoner of war for 9 months. And his mother lived to be 80, and she was a practical nurse.
Can you tell us their names too?
Celinda Crawford Miller.
And your grandfather was in the Civil War. I think he was on the Union side, wasn't he?
Sure.
Can you tell us about his experiences? He probably told you when you were a little girl.
Oh, you see, I was only about 6 years old when he died. I don't remember anything of that. I know he was a prisoner of war and nearly starved to death. And he had a good overcoat that some other fellows wanted. So he professed to trade it to him for some food. Then he got the overcoat back too.
Which prison camp was he in?
Prison camp. Oh dear, I don't know. My brother Arthur has that record, but I don't have that.
I think it was Andersonville.
Oh, yes, sure it was.
The large
And
one?
he was in Andersonville prison.
Can you tell us about your mother's parents? Did you know either of them?
Well, I don't remember my grandfather at all. I know that he was stone deaf. And my grandmother was quite a well-educated woman. She went to Oberlin College when they were just taking in women, first time they commenced to.
She was Mary Clark?
What?
She was Mary Clark?
Yes, she was married twice. Her name was Clark, and she married a Clark.
Mm-hmm. You came from a fairly large family. Can you tell us a little bit about your brothers and sisters when they were young? And they're mostly still living today, aren't they?
I have one brother that's dying. I know we all... I know the men folks and my sister Ruby all had beautiful voices. Ernest used to travel on a stage for a long time. And my brother Vernon was an insurance man, and Ruby had a beautiful voice. Taught school for 38 years, I think it was. An awful long time. Or maybe just 28. I don't like to talk like that. That's a rambling talk. Is this recorded?
Oh, it's recording, and you're doing just fine. Which of your brothers passed away?
Ernest. passed away about 11 years ago.
Do you see your brothers and sisters very often now?
Well, we have a family reunion every year.
Your grandfather, your father rather, Charles Miller, can you tell us about him? He was quite an interesting man, wasn't he?
Quite a while.
He was quite an interesting man.
Oh, sure was. He was a big, tall, strapping fellow and stood like a ramrod, straight as could be. And he was a very quick fellow. And also he was a handsome man in his younger years. You see that. He was only about 42 when I was taken. And he was a Free Methodist preacher for about 40 years. And had some of the best circuits in the conference. They only permitted the Free Methodist ministers to stay 3 years at a time in those days. So he's been minister at Kalamazoo and Adrian and Jackson and different places like that.
So your family had to move quite often.
Yes, every 3 years.
How did that affect you as a little girl going to school?
We liked it. We had a different house to live in every time. Met new friends.
Your mother died fairly young, didn't
My
she?
mother was 40 years old and died of measles and complications.
And then your father remarried?
Yes, he married again. Now, I don't want to say anything about the second family. That's all right. That's a separate family entirely.
Okay. Now I want you to remember back when you were a little girl, what interests did you have? What kind of hobbies did you have?
Music. I used to play the piano quite nicely. And, of course, I was interested in boys.
Oh. And boys were interested in you.
I started interested in boys quite young, I'm afraid.
I can see why, looking at your picture, why the boys were interested in you.
Oh,
There was one boy that was very interested in you, wasn't he?
well,
How did you meet George?
I met him at the parsonage there in Sherwood when he was home from college.
Did you go together very long?
You say go together. We weren't together very much, but we corresponded a lot. And saw each other maybe 3-4 times a year while he was going through Kalamazoo College.
You had 2 little girls, and can you tell us what your fondest memories are as you were raising those little girls?
Too many of them I couldn't begin to think of now.
Your oldest daughter, Lily, and then Pauline. How close were they in age?
3 years. I had a baby after I'd been married just 10 months. I had a baby boy and he died at the age of 2 days.
What kind of work did your husband have in your early days of marriage?
He was always in the convent, always in the married life.
And later on, he had a stroke, didn't he? Can you tell us about that and how it affected him?
Well, he had a stroke when he was, I think, 56 years old. It left his right side completely paralyzed for a long time. So he was never able to go back to the office at all.
This meant that you had to take over earning the money, didn't you?
Yes, well, we had a small business, peanut and gum machine business, and I did the outside work of that. I had about 60 machines placed around different places, and I ran that business for 20 years. And I had college boys help me at different times, so I didn't do it alone. And I did the outside work like that, and George learned to use his left hand. So he wrote a beautiful hand with his left hand. And he did the bookkeeping at home and rolled the pennies.
Your husband wrote a long manuscript of the history of England.
Yes, he wrote he was very much interested in history. He did an awful lot of reading and wrote a lot about it.
And he did this all left-handed, even though he was right-handed.
Mm-hmm.
I've read some of that, and it's a beautiful penmanship.
Yes, he learned to write beautifully with that hand.
Your husband passed away in 1962, and then someone else came into your life, didn't he?
I married again in 1964.
Can you tell us about him? And that goes way back, doesn't it?
Yes, I knew his parents because they rented an apartment with us in Kalamazoo. So I was acquainted with him. And I knew his wife, too, his family. And he was in training to go into the war, and the war stopped just before he was released. I mean, they were expecting to go almost immediately, and the war stopped. So he didn't get overseas. But he was in the post office business for about 33 years, I think.
We're talking about Edwin Quartermus.
Mm-hmm.
I believe he just had his 90th birthday.
Yes.
And how did you meet him later in life?
Well, he and his wife were married at his parents' home upstairs. They were renting an apartment with us. And we met him then. And then we became good friends and exchanged Christmas greetings every year and saw each other occasionally.
And later his wife died.
Yes, his wife died just a month to the day after George did.
And then you met again, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. He sent me a Christmas card. He always sent us a Christmas card and wrote a nice letter every year when his wife was living. But this particular year, and just after his wife had died and after George had died, he sent a Christmas card, and at the top just said Mary, and at the bottom Edwin. And I thought, for pity's sake, is he afraid to write me a letter now because I'm a widow and he's afraid I might get some ideas? And so I wrote him a kind of a sharp letter. I said, why, Edwin, don't you know I'm interested to know how you're getting along? And I got a letter back very shortly saying that he had just gone into the hospital the very day after he wrote that letter for an operation. And he was pretty blue. So, and I guess I was the only one he sent a card to at all. Well, I was just going to Florida then with my brother and his wife to stay for 3 months. So he wrote how lonely he was. So I just tried to write an interesting letter to keep him home and put his mind off of his troubles. With no idea whatever that in fact, I said there wasn't been any man lived I would even look at again. But one night I stayed awake till about 4 o'clock in the morning, thinking over this and that, and I decided if he asked me, I'd marry him. If he didn't ask me, I'd ask him. But I know I wouldn't have. Well, when I got back to Kalamazoo from Florida, he wanted to come up and see me. And so I had invited him up for Sunday dinner. And he hadn't been in the house 20 minutes before I got my proposal. And we were married in a couple months. But I had known him for a good many years. So it wasn't that I was marrying a stranger. And we have been very happily married ever since.
Where did you live at first after you married?
The first marriage
No, with Edwin.
with Edwin on Huffman Court in Kalamazoo.